Shalom. First, I'd like to start off by giving all glory and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Rakakadash. Double honors to teachers, elders, and apostles of great millstone, likewise, brothers, put on this truth. Faithfully, fearlessly feeding sheep unto brothers and sisters. Tuning in, Shalom. Today's lesson's titled, Thy Terribleness Had Deceived Thee. And of course, we're talking about Esau the Edomite, the so-called white man. Now, today's lesson, I'm going to bring out a clip. You may have seen this article concerning these FBI agents that are right now under termination status because of what they did a few years ago during the Black Lives Matter demonstration or protest that was taking place across the country and across this earth. And now many of these FBI agents find themselves on the chopping block. But before we get started with that, and I show you that video clip, let's go into the scriptures. This is the book of Jeremiah 49:16. It reads, Thy terribleness had deceived thee, and the pride of thine heart, O thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rock, that holdest the height of the hill. Though thou shouldest make thy nest as high as the eagle, I will bring thee down from thence, said the Lord, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. Now we know the so-called white man, Esau the Edomite, okay, these Caucasians, right now they're sitting in the seat of power, okay, all across this earth, no matter where they go, they take over, and Esau, being the recipient of a big sword, has used it diligently, okay, to exercise his wicked rulership across this earth. Okay, let's go into the book of Proverbs before I bring out this video. And it reads, this is Proverbs 16:18. It reads, Pride goeth before destruction, and a haughty spirit before a fall. Now, when you look at this clip, you're going to see the reason why these agents are on the chopping block. So let's take a look at the clip.
The FBI has fired as many as 20 agents, including about 15 linked to a 2020 incident where agents were photographed kneeling with protesters during demonstrations over the death of George Floyd. Well, the kneeling incident was very controversial at the time, with FBI leadership initially defending the agents' actions as a way to de-escalate the tensions. Well, the Justice Department said earlier this year that it is reviewing the conduct of more than 1,500 agents associated with cases that have found disfavor in the new Trump era, including investigations of the president and his allies.
And as you saw in that clip, okay, they're terminating these agents, okay, and most of these agents, okay, and I'll have to say that they were so-called Caucasians, okay, or so-called white, okay, Edomites, okay, that took the knee out there, maybe, they were in their feelings or whatever the case is like that. Okay, and now what you have is the Red Party that is saying that this form of, demonstration, okay, it shows weakness because they, right now, the motto is Make America Great Again. And that would mean that we need to put these Negroes, Latinos, Hispanics and Native Americans in their place. And what this bowing, okay, to so-called black people is showcasing, in their eyes is a form of weakness. Why are you bound to these people? These people are inferior to us. Okay, and that is now the mindset of these MAGA maniacs, okay, as I like to refer to them. And so these Edomites, okay, that may have done it because they felt that way, or because maybe it was just something that they wanted to do, get their picture in Time magazine or whatever the case is like that. Okay, now they're going to pay the price, okay, financially. They're now being fired, and this is what's taking place. So this is going to really help promote that hatred towards Jakes, okay, because a lot of these Edomites, they might not feel like they hate you right now, but when that financial stress gets into them, when their 401k runs out, when their savings runs out, and they were trying to do the right thing, so to speak, and they did it because of you so-called black people out there marching, and they got caught up in the emotions, they're gonna have a sense of resentment. I know, and they're gonna be joining the rest of these people out there, okay, in retaliation against the children of Israel. Okay, they absolutely are going to show their true hatred because they had to pay the price. But this shows the true wickedness of Esau the Edomite, the so-called white man. Now, you might not have to bow down to a so-called black man here in Great Babylon, America, Esau, but who you are going to bow down to, okay, is the Mashiach, who is a so-called black man that's going to return in great power and glory, okay? And he was on this earth before, okay, in a humble state, okay? In fact, when we go into the book of Philippians, chapter 2, verse 5, it reads, "Let this be mine in you, which was also in Hamashiach, who being in the form of power, thought it not robbery to be equal with power." So he never, looked at the Most High, his father, and said, I want to sit in that seat. Okay, he was humble. Okay, he says, but made himself of no reputation, and took upon him the form of a servant, and was made in the likeness of men. And being found in fashion as a man, he humbled himself and became obedient unto death, even the death of the cross. And we saw what they did to him. We read about what they did to the Mashiach. Okay, wherefore power also had highly exalted him, and given him a name which is above every name, that at the name of a Mashiach, who the world ignorantly called Jesus Christ, okay, it's Yahushai, every knee shall bow, of things in heaven and things in earth and things under the earth. Do you see that? Okay, so he says at the right hand of the Most High Yahweh Shai, every being created is going to bow to him in heaven and on earth and under the earth. And it says, and that every tongue shall confess that Yahushua Mashiach is Lord, to the glory of power the Father. Do you see that? That's the authority that's coming back. And you will bow. You will bow, so you don't have to bow to us. We're not looking for that. BLM, okay, that's a farce that y'all put out there. All right? And obviously your people are quite ignorant to the fact that they actually participated in that. They had nothing to do with it. And, and probably, I don't believe that they were sincere. I believe they did it for a photo op, and now they're paying the price for their stupidity. So I feel nothing for them. Okay, but let's go into the book of Jeremiah 51 and start with verse 19. Okay, because you're going to say, well, who's going to make us? Well, we can't make you bow to us. We're not going to, but we're going to tell you who we are. We are going to be the enforcers. You see, when the Mashiach returns, we're going to be the enforcers of the laws on this earth. We're going to be the one to make sure you bow. Just like how you have your sentries all across this earth, and here in Great Babylon, America, pounding Jakes down, beating Jakes, humiliating Jakes, forcing Jakes to follow your laws. Okay, it's going to be the same way in the kingdom, and guess who's going to be doing it? Us. Let's go into the scripture, what it says. It says, the portion of Jacob, which is the 12th tribe of Israel, is not like them, for he's the former of all things, and Israel is the rod of his inheritance, the Lord of hosts. Yahweh Shai is his name. So you're the current ruler right now, and look at the world as it is right now. Come on, okay? Bad management, poor and terrible management. Okay, the heavenly kingdom is going to be of such that we can't even describe it with our little puny little brains that we have right now. So we'll have to wait and see. It says, thou art my battle axe and weapons of war. Speaking of us, okay, the man of the Lord out here on the highway and byway, this is who we are. Thou art my battle axe and weapons of war. For with thee, us, will I break in pieces the nations. With thee I will destroy kingdoms. And with thee will I break in pieces the horse and his rider, and with thee will I break in pieces the chariot and his rider. We're going to tear you to pieces, Esau. You will bow. Okay? With thee also will I break in pieces man and woman, and with thee will I break in pieces old and young, and with thee will I break in pieces the young man and the maid. The Lord Yahweh Shai does not discriminate. He doesn't give a crap if you're a baby or old as whatever. Okay? You're gonna bow those knees, okay? Okay, you're gonna follow the laws. It says, I also will break in pieces with thee the shepherd and his flock, and with thee I will break in pieces the husbandman and his yoke of oxen, and with thee will I break in pieces captains and rulers, and I will render unto Babylon, to all the inhabitants of Chaldea, all the evil that they have done in Zion, in your sight, said the Lord Yahweh Shai. So there's a recompense for your wickedness and what you've done to us. Okay, we have to tolerate sodomy and faggotry and your vile behavior. Okay, and you are going to pay for it. So you will bow your knees. Okay, you can fight all agents on this earth as you want. At the end of the day, when the Mashiach returns, here's what's going to happen. This is Romans 14 and 11 reads, "For it is written, as I live, said the Lord, the Mashiach, every knee shall bow to me, and every tongue shall confess to power, who is God." Do you see how that works? So your pride had seriously deceived you. Okay, your terribleness and what you've been doing has deceived you. At the end of the day, you crackers, every single one of you will bow to a so-called black man. Lord will indeed likewise edify. Let the close up by giving all glory and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Rakakadash, Shalom.